Before we get into this episode, I want to say this clearly. What you're about to hear ain't a rant, ain't a lecture, and this definitely ain't an ad. This information. A lot of black men and women been walking around feeling heavy, confused, empty, or lost, and never had language for it. Even in the best black homes, this wasn't something we talked about. You could have two parents, structure, discipline, church, values, and still never hear what happens when a man loses his footing all at once. Marriage, money, respect, direction. We were taught how to push through, not how to process. So when it hit, most of us thought something was wrong with us. This episode is just naming it, giving it language, giving it context. So you know you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not alone. This is new information for a lot of us. Not because it didn't exist, but because nobody ever gave it a name. If this don't apply to you, it might apply to somebody you love. Either way, listen with an open mind. You tune into another episode of After Hours at Hustle Line. Pull up to the spot. You already know what it is. You just pulled up to the lounge where we pour wisdom after hours. This for the men and women who been holding it down, even when nobody was clapping. For the ones carrying weight in silence, making grown decisions in quiet rooms, showing up every day while life kept testing character. If you ever felt overlooked, misunderstood, or like you had to stay solid without support, pull up, take a seat, you in the right place. When everything fall apart at the same time, marriage, money, respect, direction, you don't just lose stability, you lose yourself. And that's the part nobody prepares you for. They don't tell you what to call it. They don't tell you how to sit with it. They just tell you to man up and figure it out. But when all them pieces drop at once, you still standing there like, what just happened to me? Because losing one thing hurts. Losing everything at the same time, that messes with your identity. I didn't have words for it at first. I just knew something felt off. I wasn't just sad, I was just stressed. I wasn't just tired, I felt empty. Like the version of me I used to recognize wasn't there anymore. I kept asking myself questions I never had to ask before. Who am I right now? What do I stand on? What do people see when they look at me? Then I learned there's a name for that feeling. It's called identity shock. Identity shock is when the roles you used to stand on collapse and you looking around like, if I'm not that anymore, then who am I? And once you name it, it don't fix it, but it do stop you from thinking you crazy. We don't get time to sit with confusion. We don't get patience when we hurting. We expect to rebuild while bleeding and smile while doing it. Nobody asks if we okay. They ask, will we gonna be back on our feet? Nobody asks who we are underneath the road. They just want the road filled again. And when you can't perform like you used to, that's when the silence get loud. We was raised to be something, not to be ourselves. Be the provider, be the protector, be the husband, be the father, be the strong one, be the one with answers. So when life snatched those titles from you, even temporarily, it don't just bruise your ego, it shakes your foundation. Because nobody ever taught us who we are without the job, without the relationship, without the respect, without the applause. That's why so many men say, I feel like I'm nothing. That ain't weakness. That ain't drama. That's a man standing in identity shock, trying to see himself without a mirror. Let me say this slow. You didn't lose your value. You lost the structure that reflected it back to you. Money is structure. Marriage is structure. Status is structure. Momentum is structure. When those fall, your value don't disappear. Your reflection does. And standing without a reflection will make anybody feel invisible. That's where I used to be at. I ain't have it all figured out. I used to stand in the middle of mess, trying to remember who I was before I was everybody's everything, trying to separate my worth from my circumstances. And that could be real hard. Some nights you sit there thinking about all the versions of you, the man you thought you would be by now, the life you pictured, the family you try to hold together, the respect you thought would be mutual. And you start asking questions you never had to ask before. Did I fail? Did I miss something? Did I waste time? What am I building into? That's identity shock. But here's the part nobody tells you. That moment, as ugly as it feels, is not the end. It's the reset point. This is where ego dies. This is where pride get quiet. This is where you start performing and you start becoming. I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not between versions. And the version coming next is usually stronger, calmer, and way more intentional. But you gotta survive this part first. Survival right now don't look like winning. It look like getting up anyway, staying present for your kids, choosing peace over proving a point, admitting you don't know what's next. That ain't weakness, that's honesty. If you feel like you're nothing, let me tell you what that really means. Everything fake already fell off, and what's left is the real foundation. And foundations don't look impressive. They just hold weight. I don't know who needed to hear this tonight, but if life stripped you down and left you questioning everything, you ain't invisible. You ain't done. You ain't nothing. You just in the quiet part before the rebuild. And that part always hurt, but it also always tell the truth. You know the crown heavy, but we wear it anyway. You already know where you at. It's King Mar, and you just tune in to After Hours.
You've been tuned in to After Hours at Hustlers Lounge. Created, hosted, and produced by King Mar. Brought to you by Palace Productions. Recorded at Palace Studios and available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you press play. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Pull up to the spot.